What's up, everybody? It's Chris from the Rewired Soul, where we talk about the problem, but we focus on the solution. And let me tell you, today my heart is just filled with joy for my city. For those of you who don't know, I live in beautiful Las Vegas, Nevada. And like when people think of Las Vegas, they do not think of recovery. Like, Las Vegas is on this side, and then sobriety is like 1,000 miles away. But for those of you who don't know, there is a huge recovery community in Las Vegas. I always tell people this: for as much partying and gambling and all that other crazy stuff, there is just as much or more recovery. But anyways, today I was able to go to a Narcan training. And for those of you who don't know what Narcan is, it's saving lives of opiate addicts left and right. I'll talk a little bit more about that. That's what this video is about. But I just want to talk to you about what the community of Las Vegas is doing. Like, one of the reasons why I'm just so excited and like my passion is just like through the roof today is because like it was a volunteer event today to learn about Narcan, and there was just so many people there. And a lot of it is thanks to this guy, Joe Engel. So a little bit about Joe Engel. He runs an organization here in Las Vegas called TINHIH. There is no hero in heroin. And from my understanding, this is actually a national organization, but the chapters aren't really up and running anywhere else. But Joe has been running it here in Las Vegas. Phenomenal job. I've been able to work with him a little bit. He, as well as many other men and women, petitioned for a recovery high school here in Las Vegas, and the whole recovery high school got approved by the city of Las Vegas because of these men and women. And what this school is for young people struggling with substance abuse problems to have a school just for them. This school is gonna have licensed therapists. This school is gonna be small enough so each kid gets the attention that they need. This school, they're gonna be protected from drugs and alcohol coming in on the campus. I'm volunteering as part of the after school program, which is getting going, and like that's kind of what I did today for that training, because you don't know if a kid's gonna be up in there ODing on some opiates, you know what I'm saying? So it's just amazing and beautiful not only seeing what Joe's been doing and he just does this as like volunteer work. Like, this dude has a full-time job and he puts in so many hours into this. Like, I have to tell you, like, Joe, if you're watching this, I haven't told you this, but like, just seeing the hours that this guy puts into this, it motivates me to be a better person and keep fighting to get the awareness out there and destigmatize addiction. Just seeing what this man does on a daily basis. Like, I think that I work a lot, like making these videos and stuff and working at a rehab, but this dude is working hard. So I highly suggest that if you're watching this, like, start getting community involvement, because like what Joe and the other men and women in Las Vegas have been able to do in this last year alone is mind-blowing, okay? So that's just me kind of letting you know what's going down in Vegas, how awesome Joe Engel is. He's the man. But, so check it out. Here's what this Narcan training was about. I've been trying to go to this training forever, and I was finally able to go. And so for those of you who don't know, Narcan is this opiate overdose reversal drug, okay? A lot of you have heard about it. I want to talk a little bit about what it does, what I learned today, and hopefully it'll encourage you to organize some of these trainings in your community, okay? And also, I'm going to give you some tips on how to get your community a little bit more involved, so hopefully we can save more lives. So, the way opiates work, okay, they attach to different receptors in your brain, okay? Now, when opiates attach to these receptors, they give you this high, all right? Not only do they block pain, like that much pain, but they give you this and any of my fellow opiate addicts out there, you know what I'm talking about. Don't act like you don't. So, but what they're doing is when they occupy those receptors, there's all these side effects, negative side effects. The biggest one is that it causes slowing of the respiratory system. It slows down the whole nervous system. So when somebody overdoses, it's because the opiates are in there blocking these receptors, and the person starts to breathe slowly. Now, what Narcan does is, and I don't got a cool animation, maybe I'll put up like a cartoon picture of this, but like kind of think about it like just like a little cup maybe, and then like there's a thing blocking it, okay? Like, so the cup is your receptor, that is the opioids, all right? We on the same page? So what happens is that when the Narcan goes in there, it goes to the opioid receptors and it bumps it out. It boop, bumps it out. Boop, 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 bumps it out. So by freeing up that receptor, the person, they can start breathing again. So it's very fast acting, okay? So the ways that it's administered primarily right now is a nasal spray. I thought it was kind of funny because, and maybe it's just because I'm an opiate addict who liked to snort pills, but the doctor who was doing this training, he kept talking about how he's like, the reason why we inject it in the nose is because of the blood vessels and the capillaries in there, and it spreads through the system a lot faster than it would have. Yeah, dude, I know. That's why I snort drugs. But anyways, that's why they make a nasal spray for it. So there's just this little thing sprayed up in the nose. Then they also have this little device that's almost like an EpiPen, and it injects it into their thigh, okay? So one of the questions that comes up is, and I've heard of this too, so if you're watching this video, you might be from some of these areas where they're using the strong stuff. Those of you who don't know much about the opioid epidemic, it's different in every single place. In Las Vegas, our primary problems are from prescription drugs, prescription opiates, and black tar heroin, okay? We get the stuff from Mexico. Now, in other areas, like on the East Coast, you guys are battling something completely different where you get that white stuff, okay? And it's mixed with fentanyl. Some of you might have heard of carfentanil. Fentanyl, and I hope I don't get these numbers screwed up because I don't have the paper in front of me, but you have morphine, and then heroin is like 100 times more potent than morphine, and then you have fentanyl, which is 100 times more potent than heroin, and then you have carfentanil, which is like 100 or 1,000 times more potent than fentanyl, okay? So carfentanil, it can literally just like touch you on the skin and it will jack you up. And this is why the opioid epidemic is so out of control, because people are using heroin and they have no idea what's in it. It is so strong. A lot of people are overdosing and it's causing a lot of problems. So what I'm getting at is one of the questions that comes up is because we hear on the news that in some areas they're having to shoot people with more than one dose of Narcan. Well, here in Las Vegas, since a lot of the heroin that's going around isn't mixed with fentanyl or carfentanil, typically the person's only gonna need one nasal spray. Okay, if you're listening to this and you're from another area, like on the East Coast, I think maybe the Midwest, like Ohio, you guys are messing around with that fentanyl stuff too, it might need additional dosages. So, what I learned, the 3 signs to look for, because I've always had this question. Like, what do you look for? Like, how do I know this dude is not just passed out or messed up or whatever? So the 3 signs to look for. First one is them being unconscious. The next one is pinpoint pupils, okay? So not necessarily dilated, like, but pinpoint, so really small. The last one is slow breathing. So the average person, if you were to count your breaths for about a minute, you're breathing maybe 20 to 30 times. Somebody who is overdosing is probably breathing half of that or less. So one of the questions I had, I raised my hand like a good student, and I was like, how do I know that this person is actually overdosed and not just sleeping? I don't wanna, like, you see in the movies, like you go up there and you just like slap them up in the face. Like, and the doctor actually had a really good trick for this. There's a muscle, like your lat, and what you do is you squeeze that and you shake them. So it gives them some pain, but not enough to really like make them mad, all right? So if you're wondering, just squeeze that little muscle right there. So that's what you do. And if they're not waking up, maybe check their eye, listen to their breathing, okay? And by the way, I need to make a disclaimer right now. I am not letting you know like this is what you do to administer Narcan. I'm just letting you know kind of what the training's like. So don't run around like trying to save the world. But I will kind of get into that too, because it's a weird subject. So we did like a CPR training. They had these dummies and you had to do that thing, and then they turned on Staying Alive and by the Bee Gees. It was great because you do it to that beat. But then we had stations that we went around to where we practiced different stuff, and we got to mess around with like little dummy versions of the Narcan, both the auto-inject one as well as the nasal spray. So that was cool, and as I went through that, I left with this. So if you can't see that, that is my certificate that I do know how to administer Narcan, which is cool. So it's cool from the aspect that I'm gonna be working with these kids. Kids are stupid. We're all stupid when we're in our addiction, but when you're a kid in your addiction, you're a little bit dumber. No offense, that's just the way the brain works. But it's good that I have this training now, but also since I work at a drug rehab, I need to know this. Like, I'd love to tell you that everybody just comes to rehab and everything's, everything's great, but it's not. So I'm glad that I have this training under my belt. All right, now we're gonna talk about some real stuff that's going on too. So again, I'm so proud of Las Vegas just as a whole. So we had a couple guests come in for this training. So one of them, and I'm so sorry that I forgot, I'm terrible with names, but anyways, this guy came in and he's like one of the head pharmaceutical dudes for Nevada. And like, this is just like a normal guy. Like, I don't know his history. I don't know if he has a background like of a loved one who was an addict or anything, but he was just a genuinely good person. And what him and the rest of the board of these pharmaceutical people like did was they fought for Narcan to be able to be given over the counter without a prescription in Nevada, and that's starting February 14th of 2018. That is amazing. That is amazing. There are a lot of places doing that now, but this is one of those things that I'll tell you, this is something that if your area has an opiate crisis, this is something that you need to push for. Go to city council meetings, call your local representatives, whatever you have to do. Narcan needs to be given over the counter because unfortunately we don't know when overdose is gonna happen. So we need to be able to give it freely to people, okay? And this is not something that's happening in all the states. So check your state out, maybe talk to your local pharmacy and ask them what their policy is on Narcan and see what's going on in your area. But anyways, huge kudos to this guy because that's what they push for. Now, this is where I rant a little bit, and it has nothing to do with him. It has to do with the American healthcare system, and that's where I'm gonna talk a little bit. So, check this out. So the Narcan, the normal nasal spray, without insurance, and I'm gonna give you without insurance prices, without insurance, that little sprayer is $135, and I believe it comes in a pack of 2. $135. And like, to save a life, I guess you can't really put a price on that. So he said it's $135. I'm like, okay, that's cool. But then they have this other little syringe looking thing and you screw on a little plastic tip and it's called an atomizer, which basically imitates the smaller plastic version, and you spray it, but it takes you a little bit more effort. Like you gotta like put the Narcan in, then you gotta screw this thing on top, and then you spray it. And one thing that we learned about in this training is that every second, every minute counts. Well, this other one, it's only $35. What? Like, when he said that, like, I was trying to be respectful by not laughing. Like, I was like, are you serious right now? The only difference between the two things that you just showed us was a piece of plastic, and the difference is $100? Like, so now when we're talking about saving lives, like, and especially because there's this misconception out there that drug addicts are sitting on a pile of cash. Like, I'm letting you know from a drug addict, I didn't have money because I spent it all on drugs. That's part of the disease. So like, if we're charging an extra $100 for a piece of plastic, that is nuts. But then The pharmaceutical dude, he didn't even want to mention it. Because somebody was like, well, how much is that auto injector that goes in the thigh, like the EpiPen? And he's like, I don't even like telling people the price because it's just hilarious. And we're like, okay, what's the price? $3,300. What? And I'm sitting there like, okay, well, I guess they're not getting that. And that, to my understanding, comes in a pack of 2 as well. But, like, for example, I don't have any allergies, but now I kind of understand what these people are going through, and not in any way like, do I fully understand, but I empathize with the people who have allergies and they might need an EpiPen. Those things are expensive and they're life-saving. It's like, what are we doing with these medical costs? It is crazy. But the good news is that it could be covered by your insurance. He had some answers on whether or not your insurance would cover it. The way it works, okay, at least in the state of Nevada, and with some of the insurance policies that he's checked in on, I can go in there and get Narcan under my insurance policy. But one thing that we're not quite sure on yet is how much. Like, you can at least get 1 dosage, which is a case of 2. But I was like, well, what if I wanted to like stock up on these things? Like, could I get more? Like, could I come back the next day, the next week? So if you have a question like that, the best answer I can give you is call your insurance company. Call your insurance. Say, how much of this stuff do you cover? So talk to your insurance company about this, see what you can do. The superintendent, one of the superintendents from Las Vegas, he actually showed up too. And he was there, and then the principal of the Recovery High School came by. And again, it makes me really proud to be a Las Vegan. Like, I love this city. The only thing I hate about this city is this time of year because it's so hot. But like, I just love that my city is as passionate about this thing as I am. One of the things that the doctor brought up on the screen, because he works with EMTs and, 911 dispatchers and fire departments, and in 2015, they did a map of where all the emergency calls were in Las Vegas that needed Narcan, and they pinpointed it. And like, he asked us, like, what areas do you think? And some people mentioned these parts of Las Vegas, like, oh, the Strip or North Las Vegas, or, those areas where you think more people would overdose. Well, anyways, when he showed the map, it was all over the place. It was in the rich neighborhoods, it was in the poor neighborhoods. It was in the white communities, it was in the black communities. It's over in Chinatown. It is everywhere, and that's what I cannot stress enough. Addiction does not discriminate. It doesn't care about your gender. It doesn't care about your race. It doesn't care about your sexual orientation. It does not care. And that's why I make these videos, because I'm hoping that you will take less than a second to hit the share button and share this on your page. Like, I have hundreds of friends, just hundreds. I'm a popular dude. You have hundreds of friends too. Now imagine if every person watching this video just hit the share button. We might get an extra 1 or 2 people to watch and share the video too. And that's what we need to do to destigmatize this thing, to increase awareness. But some people are like, well, yeah, I guess people are dying because of opioid overdoses. Like, what? Just hit the share button. All right, let's spread awareness. Let's try to get more cities, more communities to start up things like recovery high schools. I'm a firm believer that once we start tackling the issue for the younger generation, we'll stop seeing the issue progress so much further in the future. The other thing is too, Narcan, the main point of this video, we need to start talking in our cities, in our communities about getting this stuff out there. Because do you realize I just made a video of an Ohio councilman saying this drug is too expensive, we need to let people die. Like, I hope you understand the severity of what is happening in our country right now. So please, hit the share button, beg your friends to watch this. I know it's kind of long, but beg them to watch it. Beg them to hit the share button. Like, we need to get this information out there. And if you need, or if you want to get these things started in your area, please leave a comment down below. I'll get in touch with you. I will provide you with as many resources that I can. That guy Joe Engel that I mentioned, yeah, he might get mad at me because I'm gonna bug him about it, but this dude makes stuff happen. And we need to start doing this in all the cities. Like, it's unfortunate, but we're in this war against addiction, and it's not the war on drugs, it's a war on addiction, and we all need to get together to fight this thing together. So share this video, leave comments down below. If you need any resources, let me know. I'll hook you up. And that's just about it. I'm out of energy, and if you haven't yet, subscribe to my channel. I make sweet videos like this all the time. But anyways, this is Chris from the Rewired Soul. I will see you later.